Why did Alan Jones suddenly appear here? Moreover, he had actually interfered in this matter. Everyone understood the position of Dahua in the industry, so they speculate that Alan Jones definitely thought Arya Morrison had committed a big offense. Arya had just dug herself a grave. From now on, the movie queen will have no place in the industry. Just when everyone thought that Alan Jones was targeting Arya Morrison, they found that he suddenly stopped beside Arya and nodded in approval. Your acting skills are not bad. Arya looked at him with her eyes wide open. He actually saw her performance. Furthermore, he took the initiative to help her. This person was the husband that she had just married. Alan took Arya's expression in his eyes and turned to Director Brown. Director Brown, what do you think? Miss Arya's acting is naturally impeccable. I believe everyone has seen it just now. Director Brown's gaze swept over her as he said with a troubled expression. But she just... I don't think that's a big problem. Although the investors were afraid of Alan Jones's position, they still gritted their teeth and said, no, Caroline must be this movie's female lead. How could they overturn the plan just because of Alan Jones's unclear statement? How much money did they invest? Does it have to be her? So you have decided to give the third female lead to Caroline? Alan Jones casually asked. His cold aura crushed the opponent, but in my opinion, she is not qualified at all and cannot play the role with soul. Arya, on the other hand, is very suitable for this role. Why did Alan Jones suddenly appear here? Moreover, he had actually interfered in this matter. Everyone understood the position of Dahua in the industry, so they speculate that Alan Jones definitely thought Arya Morrison had committed a big offense. Anyone who wasn't a fool could see that Alan Jones was going to stand up for her to the end with such a clear attitude. Arya never thought that he would suddenly appear and stand by her side without hesitation to help her. Although it was unexpected, it was also a touching moment. The investor didn't dare to refute it as his arm couldn't even be twisted. He muttered a few sentences and aggressively went to find Daniel and Brilliant Entertainment to settle this matter. Then let's leave this matter as it is for now. Director Brown looked at Alan Jones helplessly and let out a sigh. Alan looked at Arya meaningfully, then left with his secretary. The reporters who were surrounding Arya earlier were chasing after Alan Jones. For a moment, there was no one around Arya. After making 4 or 5 calls, Caden walked to the center of the stage and glared at Arya. He said hatefully, Arya, you are really poisonous. Just you wait, Mr. Daniel will not let you off. Arya calmed down from her happiness that she was saved by Alan. She threw her mask into the trash can and stared at Caden without showing any signs of weakness. All right then, I'll wait. Because she definitely wouldn't let them off. Arya left through the back door before the reporters came back, just in time to see Alan's car drive out of the parking lot. She saw the black glass sliding down in front of her, seeing him sitting in the car, with a cold expression but a caring smile on his face. Get in. Arya nodded obediently. Thank you. Arya nodded obediently. Thank you. Due to her familiarity with the industry, Arya knew very well that she wouldn't have been able to stop what happened just now without Alan's help. You are already my wife. Do you think I will tolerate others bullying my woman? His eyebrows were slightly raised as domineering words came out from his mouth. The meaning behind his words was, would he always protect her like this? If it's because I brought trouble to Dahua and you, She sat down beside him and closed the door. Arya gripped her fingertips, pursed her lips, but didn't say anything. Alan just looked at her with eyes devoid of emotion. If I'm afraid of trouble, I wouldn't have registered with you. Arya's heart skipped a beat. She felt the atmosphere in the car was very strange. Sitting next to this man, her heart was beating faster and harder that couldn't be controlled. Where are we going now? She quickly changed the subject. My home. After he calmly said this, he saw Arya's slightly dazed look and smiled faintly. I don't like to procrastinate when doing things. If you agree, I will make it so that you will have an unforgettable marriage. Arya's face looked slightly tipsy as she decisively replied, I'm willing. It was not that she agreed, but she was willing. She knew her choice. The words, Alan Jones, had already been branded into her life and could not be erased. She was willing to give him her whole body. Although this was an expected answer, Alan looked at Arya and added, my principle is that once it starts, it won't end. I have heard of the way Dahua Entertainment's director Alan Jones does things. I married you. I will be your wife with all my heart, but I have a request. Her clear eyes were captivating. Alan looked at her, speak. Arya answered firmly, I will settle my grudge with Daniel myself. I want to settle it myself and not use the power of Dahua. Alan nodded in agreement. This woman was indeed different. He also wanted to see how far Arya could go. Was this woman worth his love? The two of them walked into Alan's mansion together. I have a document to look at. Take a rest first. He took steps forward and raised his left hand. My bedroom is over there. Arya blushed. All right. He seemed to open a door to her, the only door she could enter. Her cell phone vibrated. It was Luna. Arya, everything's done. We'll soon see the news of Caroline buying a role with a lot of money online. She used her relationship with Daniel to seize the company's resources and bully the newbies. Luna, thank you for your hard work. Arya thanked her sincerely. Luna was still willing to follow and support her all this time. She was deeply moved. You don't have to be polite with me. You definitely don't know, this evidence was given to me by the employees of the company. They were always bullied by Caroline and told me that they are willing to help you. Arya, do what you want and we will all support you. Although this was an expected answer, Alan looked at Arya and added, my principle is that once it starts, it won't end. Thank you, Luna. Have you leaked the news about Caroline's pregnancy? Not yet. Have you really thought about this? What will you do then? She thought Arya still had feelings for Daniel. Arya slightly raised her gaze and looked in the direction of Alan's study. With a relieved smile, she said, I just found out that my fate isn't with him. Who is that? Is it? Luna's sharp eyes noticed something different about Arya. Just as she was about to ask, she was interrupted by a call to her cell phone. It's Wind Speaker's reporter. I have serious business to attend to first. All right, I'll wait for your news. Arya put down her cell phone. Her mood has now completely changed from before. One must always take a step forward in life in order to know what kind of scenery is out there. She didn't know when Alan had appeared behind her. He didn't mean to listen to that phone call, but it wasn't too far away. Plus, he was also an emperor-level figure in the entertainment industry, so he briefly thought about Arya taking the initiative to marry him. The truth was easy to come by. You heard it. Arya turned around and looked at him nervously. She was suddenly afraid that she would leave a bad impression in his heart. You are decisive. Alan approached Arya and lifted her chin with his hand. A dangerous gaze swept across her face. I only do what I think is right. Arya looked at him bravely. There was no hesitation in her eyes as she said, don't misunderstand. I only do what I think is right. Arya looked at him bravely. There was no hesitation in her eyes as she said, don't misunderstand. Is my idea important? He smiled seductively, released her and turned to open the refrigerator. I only believe what I see. With these words, Arya's heart seemed to have been moved by something, and was indescribably warm. Her new husband could score 99 points. After Daniel received the news, he slammed his phone down in anger, can anyone tell me what's going on? In less than half an hour, Brilliant Entertainment received a lot of calls from countless reporters. The news of Caroline buying up a role and a lot of anonymous posts had spread online, revealing the fact that she was bullying newbies and seizing resources after her debut. The investors also chased after Daniel for an explanation. At this moment, due to Arya replacing Caroline and trying out the audition, Brilliant Entertainment's reputation was greatly affected. Caroline looked at him and frowned. You still can't see that all of this is Arya's doing. She just doesn't want me to be happy. No, if she finds out I'm with you, she'll come looking for me. Daniel thought that he knew Arya very well. I will have someone to investigate this. Investigate. By the time you have this investigated, I won't be able to work in this industry anymore. Then what do you want to do? Caroline rolled her eyes, walked up to him and hugged his arm and gently asked, Daniel, remember when Arya announced her retirement after she promised to stay with you? If she was willing to do that for you, she must be willing to do this too. Issue a statement on behalf of the company to say she had plans to make a comeback but could not find an opportunity. Also add, she was jealous of my reputation and position, so she took advantage of my injury not being able to audition, to disguise herself to look like me and using this opportunity to increase her popularity. She paid people to fabricate lies online to attack me maliciously because she wants to use me as a stepping stone. This, Daniel said, but was hesitant. After all, in the last 2 years, Arya had done a lot for him, so he didn't want to be too harsh. If you're hesitant about this, she will definitely destroy Brilliant Entertainment. Daniel was persuaded by her words, but the investor suddenly barged into his office. Director Parker, if this is how you do things, we can't cooperate anymore. What's the matter now? The investor was very angry. How is the private meeting that CEO Parker had with Miss Caroline all over the net? Do you realize how much damage this will have on our company? In other words, we will immediately withdraw our investment and have nothing more to do with Brilliant Entertainment. Investigate. By the time you have this investigated, I won't be able to work in this industry anymore. Caroline was so angry that her face was fuming. Who posted the news? I did it. Luna said as she walked in with a box of audio tapes in her arms and slammed it on the table. These are the evidence of you bullying the company's rookies. The ones online are only the tip of the iceberg. Are you crazy? Do you want to get dismissed? I thought I already expressed it very clearly and you're still asking me. Are you that stupid? Luna asked and looked at him with disdain. She took off her work pass from her neck and casually threw it on the table. It's because people like you who work behind the scenes that the entertainment industry is so messed up. Daniel didn't have time to get angry with her. He directly ordered all departments to suppress the online news and push all the blame on Arya according to Caroline's instructions. After all, Brilliant Entertainment had invested a lot of money on Caroline these last few years and almost all of the resources were given to her. He put in so much investment and yet still got no benefits in return. Naturally, he couldn't just sit by and watch her reputation go badly. With great efforts to salvage the situation, public opinion online had become one-sided. Everyone believed that Arya had disguised herself as Caroline in order to make her even more popular. However, in the afternoon on the same day, all of the entertainment companies received a notice from the Secretary of Dahua Department. If anyone continued to release any unfavorable or damaging news about Arya Morrison, there would be consequences. Could it be that Arya had the support of Dahua Entertainment? Could it be that Arya had the support of Dahua Entertainment? With the surprise notice issued, the leaders in the entertainment companies immediately stopped publishing any news about Arya. For a moment, everyone's attention returned back to Caroline. Looking at the news online, Arya smiled. She put down her cell phone and looked at the man in the gray shirt in front of her. It was you who helped, wasn't it? It's a small matter. Alan replied. In actual fact, he hardly did anything. He continued to cut the steak on his plate and then gracefully swapped his plate with Arya's. You have become a thorn to Brilliant Entertainment. Do you want to change careers in the future? No, since they want to slander me and think that I want to take this opportunity to make a comeback to showbiz, then I will go against the tide and show them that I can still succeed with my own strength. Aren't you worried? Once the Brilliant completely bans you, I can't appear out of nowhere to protect you. His words were like a gust of wind that swept through the entire room. Although his words were quite extreme, Arya wasn't afraid in the slightest. My principle is, since I have started something, I will finish it to the end. No one can stop me. She will bear the consequences of becoming enemies with Daniel, but more importantly, she will fulfill her promise to him. How many women in this world have this courage? Since things had developed to this point, Daniel hadn't even called to check on her. This was enough to prove that this wasn't worth her love anymore. She definitely wouldn't let this matter rest. Alan had to admit, it was a good decision for him to keep this woman by his side. Arya smiled calmly. In front of him, she had chosen to have brand new beginning, a clean slate. Marriage was not a ritual. Even though they had only known each other for a short time, Arya could feel an inexplicable gravity pulling her closer to this man. Sir, the things you asked for have been delivered to the bedroom. The servant said respectfully. Arya gripped the knife and fork tightly as her heartbeat quickened. She looked at Alan and blushed. The wedding night. Arya followed Alan and slowly walked into the bedroom step by step. The room was full of rose petals and colored candles. If she had to go through with this, she was already prepared, but she was still scared and nervous. Since things had developed to this point, Daniel hadn't even called to check on her. This was enough to prove that this wasn't worth her love anymore. She definitely wouldn't let this matter rest. When her feet touched the warm beige carpet, she could feel the gentleness of this seemingly cold man. His arrangement was to make her feel more comfortable. Alan looked at her reaction and said casually, I'll go take a bath first. You can go and get prepared. I hope you can be Mrs. Jones without any scruples, but I won't force you. His words were so warm, and this marriage was Arya's own choice. Their relationship was equal, and she couldn't let Alan take responsibility for her past. Arya summoned up her courage and grabbed his shirt with her wrist. I'm sure you won't make me regret it. Arya. What's wrong? Arya softly asked as she wrapped her arms around his neck. His broad shoulders were closer to her. He said, You're beautiful tonight, but I don't want you to get hurt. Did I do something that dissatisfied you? Arya thought she had done something wrong, so she asked cautiously. No, he said firmly. No, he said firmly. Then shouldn't we? Arya couldn't help but ask when she saw his expression. Whether we do it or not, you're still my Mrs. Jones. With that, Alan carried Arya, put her on the king-size bed and kissed her passionately while cherishing her face gently. Arya struggled while giggling in his arms. Why are you so good to me? His eyes gradually darkened as he looked at her sternly. This is our destiny. Even if we weren't together before, we were meant to be in the end. His domineering attitude made her feel warm inside, and he truly expressed his feelings, as if he had a tacit understanding with her. She was willing to be the cat in his arms, to sink into his tyrannical gentleness. Only by cherishing and being honest with each other could they bring the two hearts closer together. For the time being, Arya didn't regret taking the initiative to be with him. The next morning, Arya received a call from Luna. Now that the investors are looking for trouble with Daniel, Brilliant Entertainment's reputation will not be as great as it once was. Also, due to public opinion, Caroline had to cancel a few of the programs she had arranged to record. Arya, you have endured through the first stage. It was hard to conceal the joy in Luna's voice. She had been by Arya's side for a long time, and she could no longer bear to see the despicable methods of those people. They had brought their deaths upon themselves. With regards to this result, Arya was very calm. What about that character? She had no other choice but to do that. She hoped it wouldn't affect Director Brown. That matter is yet to be decided. Alright, Luna, you hide first. I think Daniel will definitely cause trouble for you. Arya understood Daniel's style of doing things better than anyone else. She would no longer so silly as to be used as a pawn. After Arya hung up the phone, she revealed a relaxed smile. The man sitting opposite to her raised his sword-like eyebrows slightly and said, "If you need my help, feel free to ask." Arya graciously nodded in agreement. After last night, she no longer needed to think of him as an outsider. Alan was very satisfied with her generosity and non-rejection. "I'll go to the company for a meeting later. Take care of yourself." The next morning, Arya received a call from Luna. Now that the investors are looking for trouble with Daniel, Brilliant Entertainment's reputation will not be as great as it once was. Also, due to public opinion, Caroline had to cancel a few of the programs she had arranged to record. "Arya, you have endured through the first stage." Arya replied with a smile. They treated each other differently from others. These feelings of mutual affection revolved around them, brimming with a sense of happiness. Arya looked at the time. It was about time for her to appear. Otherwise, how could she make things worse? The key of this game must be in her hands. Let Daniel see how she turned the tide. Just as Brilliant Entertainment was in a state of chaos and Daniel was crazy to find her, Arya took the initiative to appear in the company's main entrance. She wore a neat cowboy dress and a simple ponytail. She looked very energetic as she walked into Daniel's office in high spirits. Daniel's secretary was dumbfounded. "Miss Arya." Arya's expression remained the same. She sat on the sofa naturally and didn't take Daniel, who was beside her, seriously at all. Daniel immediately roared in anger, "You still dare to come back? Look at what you've done." He threw today's newspaper on the table. The front page of the newspaper was all about Caroline buying a role by a lot of money. "Do you know how much money the company has invested on Caroline? Do you know how much the company will lose if we can't clear her reputation?" Arya purposely blinked her eyes. She acted as if she didn't know anything. "Daniel, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand it all? Luna dared to show off her strength in front of me, and you still want to pretend to be stupid? Is it fun? If you have any ideas, you can tell me in advance. Why use such a method to deal with Caroline, me and the entire company? Luna dared to show off her strength in front of me, and you still want to pretend to be stupid? Is it fun? If you have any ideas, you can tell me in advance. Why use such a method to deal with Caroline, me and the entire company?" As Arya listened to these questions, she recalled that he had once argued with her over Caroline. At that time, she couldn't understand this man's heart. What he cared about and always wanted to protect was Caroline. "Daniel, I really don't understand what you are saying. We are getting married soon. How can I harm you and the company? It won't do me any good." Arya feigned helplessness with a very innocent expression. "All right." Daniel took a deep breath. He couldn't tell if she was acting or not. "Then tell me, where have you been these past 2 days? Why couldn't I find you after your identity was exposed?" Daniel stared at Arya with a terrifying gaze, as if he was going to eat her. Arya coughed twice. There were so many reporters in the studio that day. I had to struggle to get rid of them. If I had come straight back to you, someone would have found out that you had something to do with it. Really? But the things you have done had put me in trouble, you know. He was angry, but he didn't dare to say anything harsh. He had used Arya many times over the years. He knew if Arya really turned against him, it would be a huge blow to the company. Daniel, I am sorry, but I didn't have any options back then. Arya's acting was very good. After she said a few words, she broke into tears. Daniel frowned and asked sternly, then what about Luna? Without your permission, would she dare to do what she did to me? Daniel, you are still suspecting me. Since you do not believe me, then I will leave. Arya bit her lips, turned her head and walked out of the office with a wronged expression on her face. But if she left, who would justify Caroline and take the blame? Just as Arya was about to leave, Daniel quickly stopped her with an earnest expression and said, I believe you. I was just a bit anxious. I need your help right now. You will help me, right? How can I help you? Arya looked at Daniel with tears in her eyes and asked after a moment of hesitation. Actually, the matter is very simple. Daniel pulled her arm. You just need to explain to the investors and directing team that everything happened because you wanted to make a comeback to acting, so this was all you're doing, and then everything will be solved. Is that so? Arya smiled bitterly. She knew very well that the moment she appeared, she would be directly targeted. Caroline's reputation would be cleared. Afraid that she would discover his intention, Daniel stood in front of her and made a promise. Arya, I'm doing this for our future. If the company doesn't succeed well, I won't have the face to go to the Morrison family. Rest assured, once this matter is over, I will immediately marry you. What a ridiculous scene. Why had she been so stupid in the past to be blinded by such words? Arya nodded and slowly, I can promise you that, but this will be the last time. All right, I'll send someone to arrange it right away. You can rest here and don't go anywhere. Daniel said a few more words of advice and quickly left with his assistant. In the spacious office, Arya gracefully took a tissue and wiped away her tears. The driver then pushed the door and entered. Miss Arya, Mr. Daniel wants me to send you to the hotel for a rest. He'll look for you after he's done with his business. Oh, really? He must be in a hurry to update Caroline the latest developments. It's fine. Let him be if he is busy. I can. Before Arya could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by the driver. His meaning is I must send you to the hotel. Arya understood that Daniel wanted someone to watch over her, but fortunately she already had a plan in advance. It didn't matter if Daniel sends people to watch her, but she definitely wouldn't compromise and take blame for them. All right, then I'll go to the hotel and wait for him. Suppressing her emotions, Arya tightly grabbed the bag in her hands, pretended to be obedient and followed the driver out of Brilliant Entertainment. Behind their car, Alan's men had been following them around in their cars. He could let Arya handle the situation as she pleased, but he wouldn't compromise with her safety. Arya looked at the driver's rearview mirror a few times, then opened the window and looked behind her. She knew the license plate number very well, and her lips were slightly raised. Her decision to choose that man made her feel at ease. Arya walked into the hotel under the gaze of the driver. She walked into the elevator. Luna walked over with a peaked cap and took off her mask. She smiled and said, Daniel should have more people to watch you. Luna. Arya was both touched and sorry. I'm sorry that you're suffering together with me. Don't be sentimental. What are we going to do next? It seems that Daniel will not let you move freely. Luna analyzed. It doesn't matter. I have Luna's help, and definitely make them bear the losses. Arya suddenly thought of Alan and her lips unconsciously curled up into a smile. When Luna saw her expression, she tilted her head and asked, that smile of yours is weird. Is there someone else helping you behind the scenes? Arya smiled mysteriously. We'll talk about this later. Now, I need the proof that Caroline and Daniel are related, such as proof of pregnancy or a photo of their date. I'll go and check with some paparazzi. Maybe we'll get something out of it. Be careful by yourself. Luna put on her mask and hat again and stepped out of the elevator one floor above and left through the fire exit. Arya took a deep breath. The elevator went to the first floor. The moment she opened the door, the hotel staff were waiting for her. "Miss Arya, Mr. Daniel has prepared this for you." The waiter opened the door and placed the tea cake on the dining table. There was also a huge pile of balloons. She watched Daniel walk up to her step by step. "Do you like it?" The corner of her mouth twitched in embarrassment. Yes. Daniel waved his hand as the waiter served the lunch, 2 romantic meals. "Please enjoy your meal." Arya slowly put down her bag. She never thought that Daniel would do something like this for her, probably because he was afraid that she would speak carelessly, so he did this to win her over. Was she that easy to win over? Daniel really treated her as a fool. "Arya, try it." Arya lowered her head and quietly ate the side dishes. It seems that Daniel still remembered what she liked to eat, but things had changed. Sensing her cold reaction, Daniel quickly expressed, "I'll definitely arrange it better next time." "It's all right. I understand, you've been too busy recently." Arya said, but thought, "Your thoughts are all on Caroline and I don't need your fake concern." Not long after, Daniel went out to answer a call. A delicate envelope was handed to her. Arya looked up and saw that it was a waiter. "For me." She opened the tickets to 2 classical concerts. They were her favorite orchestra. A note was attached with strong, bold writing. "I was one who sent the side dishes. I wish us a happy wedding. I'll see you at the concert." Other than Alan, no one else would do such a thing. Arya smiled in her heart as she felt Alan's care and protection. This man was like her guardian angel. Arya carefully placed the envelope in her bag. It was seen to be his second gift to her. "It's all ready. We can go over now." Daniel walked in with his cell phone. When he saw Arya's expression, he frowned. "What's the matter? You're that happy?" Arya raised her eyes and looked at him with a smile. "Of course I'm happy that you have taken the time to accompany me." However, her smile didn't touch her beautiful eyes. "This way. Let's go, everyone from the Public Relations Department is waiting for us." Public Relations Department? Arya looks at him in surprise. It seemed that he was also well prepared. "Right, we'll accompany you and see how you'll deal with the investors. We can't afford to make any mistakes," Daniel said seriously. Arya stood up slowly and said, "All right, it's such a pity for the dish at the table. There will be more chances in future." Daniel had already pushed open the door. "The most important thing now is to clear this matter up. Caroline has the opportunity to nominate in the Ginge Best Movie Actress this time, so she can't have any problems this time." "I know. So it was all for Caroline. Otherwise he wouldn't have eaten this meal with her and wouldn't have taken the trouble for deceive her." Arya's face remained expressionless. All that happened today was just a trick of Daniel to win her over. Daniel's good intentions were venomous to her. That afternoon, when Arya followed Daniel into the conference room, she noticed that the investors together with the directing team were all present, along with few reporters who were invited by Daniel. Arya sat beside Daniel quietly, smiling elegantly. The reporters checked the time and didn't delay any further. They immediately set up their cameras and directed it at Arya. "Miss Arya, please tell us, why did you come to the audition studio? Is it out of jealousy towards Caroline, or are you planning to make use of this opportunity to make a comeback?"